It's been such a lovely process working with Dean, figuring out what the pot still and maid look like and feel like moving forward. Given we now have a tangible entity in the building, it's been quite a difficult thing to unpick. You know, how do we have one identity for the building but still have maid carried through that? And I think Dean has done a really good job in the pot stills vibe, which is, to me anyway, it comes across very professional, very slick, and it very much speaks to the building. With maid, he has kept the integrity of the organisation. It's colourful, it's fun, but I think he's definitely enhanced the quality and just the feeling that we're stepping up, that we're becoming something else, something more prominent, more serious, but also more impactful. And for me, that's a really prominent shift, and I'm really excited to see where we go.
The specific elements of the brief that were most important were the fact about the location of the pot still being in the Gordon Arms Hotel, being in Elgin, being in Murray, and referencing that location and the community and the people who will both use the space and also previously have experienced the space, which really made working on the design work much easier. And the reason for that is the building itself is really interesting and has all kinds of references that we can look at. And there are colours and reference points that exist within Elgin and within Murray that we can hang parts of the branding off of. So in terms of the pot still, lots of elements from within the hotel were useful to reference. James Edgar was the farmer who originally built this hotel, and on the front of the hotel is his monogram, which is J and E overlapping each other, which is interesting because the pot still is the letters P and S, and we can overlap them potentially in a similar way and reference that architectural detail that pre-exists. And in the stairwell of the hotel is a really interesting piece of stained glass which has a leaded structure. It has obvious ways of how it is constructed, which we could also reference in the logo and in the branding, which might not necessarily be clear when you look at the logo, but nonetheless, when you move around the space, when you use the building, you might subconsciously pick up on the connection between the two. Those letters are actually abstracted in the final logo, so you don't really see them. It just becomes an interesting graphic that is owned by the building and by the project. And if you really want to dig into it visually, you can see them. And as a follow-on from that, a key part of any branding is the colours. Colours are something that people respond to very emotionally, and I thought it would be really useful to bring a level of objectivity to the colour choices and also marry those colours to the location. So in the end, we have quite a broad palette, which is necessary for a building and a project of this sort. So we can have our main branding, which is just for the pot still, but then there's also going to be a requirement for signage around the building, helping people to navigate without really thinking about how they're moving around a space. They need to follow a particular colour to get to a particular facility or a gallery, and we can use those colours to differentiate the spaces around the building. So all of these colours have a reason to exist. Combining that with the thinking behind the logo, we ended up with a brand package that is really grounded, and I really should stop saying grounded, in this location. So with the made branding, it's essentially much simpler, and the key aspect of the logo is a repeating pattern that is based on the shape of Murray. So Murray is a kind of a weird shaped county. It's kind of a Y shape and quite complicated with a long component to it that extends down into the Cairngorms. It doesn't lend itself necessarily to be a useful shape, but I tried different ways of simplifying it because, like all county borders, it's quite messy and detailed and needed to become simpler. So I tried different ways of doing that, adding radiuses to the corners, oversimplifying it and then rolling back from that. And in the end, I ended up with a shape that was quite satisfying, and then experimented with that shape by tessellating it and rotating it and presenting it in different sizes to make a pattern. And that pattern we can then apply the brand colours to, and it becomes something that we can use as background, as something to bring life to communications for MADE. And alongside that shape work, we've got a very simple typographic route and a reduced colour palette that is focused on pop colours so that we can be quite bold in our communications for MADE.